little blocks down.
All right.
If you can.
I selected it, so hopefully it looks like it's working. You're recording now, so
oh,
we're
there
good to
it
go.
goes. Okay. All right, so we are recording this. This is the Workforce One Connect training. And so far we have moved to the sandbox and everybody's logged in. So this is the beginning of where we need to start with the training. And I'm going to then go back and share with you my sandbox environment. Everyone should have at least 2 records, cases on your caseload when you first log in. And I've got several of them here. And the first thing we're going to do, I know it says to talk about the connect messages link first, and I want to show you that. So I'm going to also be logged into our staging environment at the same time here.
Heidi?
Yes.
Pamela's saying she's getting an invalid username and password.
She can use one of the other ones on the list here. So let me get it back up.
Yeah, can you pull that back up?
Yep, I sure can. Who's having trouble?
Pamela?
So Pamela.
DHS, obviously, Heidi.
So you had Jay Holland. And then password #1. And you're for sure in the sandbox, right?
I'm for sure in the sandbox, yes. Hang on, let me try one more time.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you just go back one more time, make sure I spell the username right? Maybe that's what went wrong.
Yep, hold on here. Let me share this with you then. Actually, I can put it in the chat. Well, no, I can't.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say it, so we're not.
Sarah, can you put it in the chat for her?
Yeah.
It was Jay Holland, JHOLLAN.
I'm in. Thank you.
Okay, good. Wonderful. Everybody else I'm going to assume everyone else is in. So please let us know if you're not. All right. So because we are still in our development phase and we're not into production with this, I'm going to toggle between the sandbox where you guys will be working. And then I'll show you a few things in our staging environment because the things are set up there a little bit differently. And I have a little more data. So I just want to let you know that this will all be in production when we go live, but I do have to show you a couple things, and I'll just be demonstrating several things as well. So on my dashboard in the staging environment, I have a nice little link here saying I have 2 connect messages that are unread. This is what you guys will see. It's right here next to the ticklers, the appointments, and if you have a help desk ticket, it will show right here as well. And it's kind of your to-do list for the day, if you will, on the left-hand side of your dashboard. So when I see that link and it's blue and I know then that I can click it, it takes me straight to the summary of all of my connect messages. It's a connect message search. I can also get there from the top navigation on the search menu. It's going to say connect message search. Takes me to the exact same place. There are some search criteria up here in this panel at the top that I can change. So once you get a lot of messages, I mean, say we're up to a couple hundred or more, you might want to sort them differently and find, specific ones that you are looking for. You have the ability then to do some searching here. So you can search. Now, some of these will make more sense once you've added a message. So don't worry too much about these categories at this point. But there are categories you can use to say what you are talking about with your person. By the way, I like to define this, and I know you guys are experienced Workforce One users, but whenever I say person, I mean the participant, the consumer, the customer, all those people who we are serving. You have many different terms for them, and we call them a person on my team, so we don't have to, clarify that every time. And then mobile user is that same participant, but they've got the mobile user set up so that they're able to use Workforce One Connect. And if I'm using the word user just in general, that means staff. because typically until now, and even now, we don't have any participants logging directly into Workforce One. So our user base is all staff. So you are going to set this, as a category for the person so that they know what type of message they're getting or what the message is about. You also have the ability to search here by different dates, sent, received, the subject, the name, and the record ID. Because if you think about this search, it's going to be your whole caseload and all the messages that you are attached to. So we're going to go back though, and I'm going to go back to the dashboard here, and we're going to sort of start from the beginning. This is how the process will actually happen. So your participant comes in and they become enrolled in a program. And I'm going to go back here to my dashboard in Sandbox. They're enrolled in a program, and then they are able to use and be able to be set up with the Workforce One Connect app. So you're going to log into Workforce One like you normally do. In fact, all the things you do are going to be in Workforce One. They're not going to be in the app at all. Only the participant logs into the app. I know that's maybe been clear, but I'm going to continue to say it because I know there have been questions about that. So what I'd like you to do is look on your caseload here on your dashboard and find someone who is enrolled in a program. You might have some exited cases here, but for sure you want one that's already enrolled, because that's the best way for us to start here. So someone comes in, they get enrolled in the program, and you say, hey, we have this awesome new app. Hold on one second here. I guess I'm going to have to close this one. Sorry, just 1 second here. I wasn't sure if that was going to work, and it does not. So you've got your person, and they're enrolled, and they say, yep, I want to use the app. And by the way, we're going to have some really beautiful marketing materials for you, some one-pagers that you can hand to them and say, this is what it's about. Would you like to use it? And it'll make our communication easier. And they say, yes, they definitely want to do that. So you come here to their account. I'm going to find it right here on my dashboard. And I'm using the person named Ben Connect. And I put my name on there too to make sure people know that one's mine. And now you'll notice, especially if you're really familiar with Workforce One, that you've got some new options here in the general section. You've got connect messages, but the first thing we have to do before we can even send a message is set them up as a mobile user. So I want you to click on mobile user. And there's just a couple of really small fields here. The first one is going to be the status. New user is where it's going to default, and you're going to just leave it there. You've got, if they've already got a good email in the system because you've added it in the process of enrolling them, it will show here. If not, then you'll just add one. The username does need to be a good email, meaning one that they can receive emails with, that they have access to, they know how to log in, they know the password, it's their usual email that they can access. The reason for this is because when we start this, we're going to send them a welcome email, and it's going to have a temporary password, and that's where they have to go to get that, is in their email. This is the way that we authenticate who this person is and make sure that nobody can just log in and use it. So on a side note, anyone who runs into the app in the App Store or the Google Store is going to be able to download it, but they won't be able to use it unless you have set them up here in Workforce One as a mobile user. So this is super important. So I'm just going to say I want to use this. If I don't have an email here, I would just type it in. So you have both options there. And then I can also search to see if any other record IDs have this same email attached to it. Maybe there's a husband and wife. There's none for this one, but there could be a husband and wife who use the same email. You would want to know that and probably get them their own email. We do need to have a separate email for them. So that's one thing that we discussed during the JADS, is that the email has to be unique to the person record. And so if it's the same, you're going to have to get an email set up for that other spouse, possibly. You can leave any comments in here that you want to, and then you send the welcome email, and that's it. I'm not going to click on this yet in case there's any questions. I want to come back to it. So you're going to have the status that's just defaulting there. Put in the person's email and use the button to send them the welcome email. Are there any questions at this point? I can't see if there are or not.
I don't see any questions in the chat.
Okay, thanks for letting me know, Derek.
Josie says no.
Okay, so I'm going to send this, and then I actually have the email in a document that I'm going to share with you. So I send, it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to go look and see what, if that email exists already, and if there's anything extra it has to do. So it's communicating right now with our Minium system, which is the Minnesota Identity and Access Management tool. And it will take a little longer here in the sandbox, but it will be faster in production. And now I've got the confirmation up here at the top that my mobile user was created. Now, when I go back, let's take one more look at it. This will be here, and now it's sort of in an edit mode. You can change this. It's telling me that this has been set up and it is active. And this is the username it's connected with. Now, for example, say a couple months from now, Ben, he's just like, you know what, I never use this and I'm not going to use it, or I'm going to move out of state, and or something happens, right? And you go, okay, I want to inactivate this. Then this is where you would go to inactivate the mobile user account. It will also get inactivated when the person exits and there is no other case assignment on it. And so case assignment is the place where we are, the information that we're using to populate the recipients or the people who can send messages to Ben, the participant. And I do want to show you that really quick right now. So I'm going to scroll down here to case assignment under cases. And if you want to watch here for a moment, I have all of these case assignments on all these programs. And these, when these agencies are turned on saying, yes, we want to use the Workforce One Connect app, then they will show up in the app for the participant to be able to message. So you'll see all these names then, and I'll show them to you. I'm going to give you a demo of the app when we get a little farther along here. I just want you to know that this is where the list is coming from, the current case assignment. And we also have new roles for financial workers and childcare workers, and those will also show up here. So under those appropriate programs, the DHS programs, you will see the staff listed for the financial worker and the childcare worker on this page. All right, let's go back to the mobile user for one more second. We've got a place here also to send a reset password. So if the person says, I can't get logged in and it's all messed up and I don't know what happened, can you just reset the password for me? This is where you would go. You would log in, you would go to Ben Connect, and you would just send the reset password email. They would go to their email, log in, and then they will have a letter, a message there in an email with a temporary password, and then they will be able to follow the steps and reset that password for themselves. So let me open up what that email looks like, because I'm sure you're curious about that.
Hey, Heidi.
Yes.
Quick question for you.
Sure.
Pamela has a question. Can any worker, ES, financial, and childcare reset the password?
It would
So
be
basically
just
anyone who has access to the Workforce One record, right?
It would be just the ES worker that would be able to do it. The financial workers can see that page, but they can't do anything on it at this point.
Okay.
If that needs to change, Pamela, it's easy. it's an easy thing to change. It's just a setting in the privileges, but that was what was decided originally when we talked about that group's access.
Thank you.
Yep. Certainly that's an easy one though to change. So this is what the email will look like. It comes from a no reply email, so they won't be able to send anything back, but it gives a welcome. It says, thank you for choosing to use Workforce One Connect. This free app is a new way for you to communicate with your employment counselor, financial, or childcare worker. We created an account for you and now need you to complete the following 3 steps to finish the Workforce One Connect setup. Download the app by going to either the App Store for iPhone or Google Play Store for Android and type Workforce One Connect in the search field. Select the app from the list, select the install button and then the open button. Log in with your temporary password. So it gives the username, which is the email that you put in, and then it creates a temporary password. These are always very, fun to type, I will say. And it's case sensitive. So if they're having trouble, that's where you're going to want to mention, make sure it's capital, lowercase, and you're getting all those characters right. And then once they log in, then they will be sent directly to a page where they're going to change their password. They're going to add 3 challenge questions that they can use then to retrieve their password if they need to. And then they'll get another email confirming that the password has been changed. And then it says, if you have any questions, please contact your employment counselor, financial, or childcare worker. So it gives them the steps that they need to take. Any questions on that email? All right, so let's go back to the sandbox, and now it's time for the fun stuff. You've got the user, or the participant, I should say, all set up. And now you go, oh, I want to send a message. Ben needs to know something. I'm going to remind him to do something, any number of things. And I'm going to log in. I'm going to go to Ben's record, and then I'm going to go to the Connect Messages link here on the left. And I'm going to say, I want to add a new conversation. A conversation is basically a string of messages. So if you think of this as a sort of a combination of email and texting together, you can create a subject, like you can't do with text, but you can do with an email. And you can create a string of messages, but then close them if you want to and start another string. So it's kind of like email in that way, where it's not just one continuous string of messages like your texting would be. So I think it's nice. It's a hybrid of the two, and I think it will function really well for you for what you guys need. So watch me for a moment, and then I'm going to let you also add a conversation. And I hope that I gave you enough time to finish that mobile user ad page. If not, please let me know, and Derek will tell me to pause here. So conversation ad, I can pick a grouping here. I'm going to say, I want to do a job search. I'm going to send a message concerning job search, and the subject will be, let me know how is it going? Search going. That's the subject. I can send it as a private message or not private. If it's private, then only the people who are attached to this record as a case, in a case role, will be able to see it. Otherwise, our other umbrella rules will apply to this. Certainly, they apply just as they would to any information in this whole entire case. And then I'm going to write my message. If I can type this morning. And I'm going to say, there's other staff that might want to know about this also. So I'm working on it. It's going to come from me. And I'm going to add some others that I want to be included. Whoops. And let's go to use the select deselect link to say who we want here. I'll go down to the Hollands because you guys are all using the Hollands today. And I'm going to say Adam Holland and Pamela had Jerry, I think. And we'll say Henry needs to know about this too.
Heidi, can I interrupt you for a moment here?
Yeah.
So Courtney has a question. So I may have missed this. Was there an email address we were supposed to use to actually create a username to do the mobile ad?
No, for today, no, it doesn't matter. What you want to do is just put in something fake. So we're not going to be able to necessarily complete the whole loop, but I am going to give you a demo of it because it does take a lot of steps to get it all in place. So it won't matter today what you do. In the real world, it will be super important that it's a real email. So that's a good question, Courtney. But for our purposes today, it won't matter. All right, is everyone caught up then? Looking like they're okay?
Looks like it, yep.
All right. All right, so go to your connect messages and add a message to your participant. Select which staff you would like to be able to have view this message. And then I also wanted to show you, before I let you go to do your own, and hopefully you're still watching me here, how to select a file. So I can send a file along with this message. If I have a document, if I have a flyer, I have something that I want to add to it, and I want to use the choose file button here, I'm going to just go to grab one that's called test. Not super creative, I know, but I'm going to add my test document. And I do have to click this button also called add file. So first I choose it and then I add it to this message. Now that gives me the opportunity to go choose another one. So if I have a couple of them and I want to send them all at the same time, I would go back and choose more and continue to add them. They're going to show in a grid here on this page. And then when I'm ready, I just click the send. I'm not going to do that until you guys have had a chance to look at this. So I'm going to pause here for a moment and let you add your own message. And then I will send mine in a minute here. But I'll leave it up so that you can toggle back to it and take a look if you want to. Add. Okay, so hopefully that was enough time. It's hard to judge. I always think I should have a little egg timer or something to help me feel how much time has passed by, because it always seems longer when you're waiting. But chat with Derek if you need a little more time. Otherwise, I'm going to send my message and move along.
Nobody's indicated they need more time, so.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to send the message using this button. And then it says you are including staff outside your agency. And then make sure a consent is in place. And I'm going to know that I have already done that. So I'm going to say, okay, that is something you would definitely want to do. And that's why the reminder is there. So now I'm back to the Connect Messages summary. And because I have a message that was sent, now I have some things on my summary. It wasn't just the little button. I also have a panel here where I can do some searching if I need to. Once we have a lot of messages in here, this will be important, especially the subject, I would think. That seems to me like the most common way you might want to look for a message in the past to be able to retrieve that. So just know that you can open up this panel and find that search criteria there so that you can narrow down your results in case you're getting up to, you know, a couple hundred and you need to find something. So let's look at this grid for one moment. You've got your conversation category and subject. So I can see I chose job search, and my subject that I titled this was, how is the search going? It tells me the initial sent date and time. Now these are all sortable too, by the way. Anytime you see these blue headers, you can click on them. When there's only one, it doesn't, it's pretty uneventful. But when you've got multiples and you want to sort, any of these will work. It tells me the last message read by person. Was it read or not? No, it has not been read yet. Last message received from person. So I would be able to see the date and time here that I got that. If it's been read by some, read by unread completely, or read by everyone, there's several different statuses for the message. The last staff to reply. So if I was not the one, it would be nice to know who did reply to this. And then maybe my support staff helped me and replied to this message, or you know, someone else stepped in that needed to know this information. I can see who did that. Was there a file attached to it? Then this is file received. So it doesn't actually indicate that I sent some, but I want to know if I received them back. So that's the importance of this column. So we did actually add that received wording up there in the column header because it was a little confusing. People are saying, well, I sent files, but it says no. This is actually, did the person send them to you? And we want to make sure that those don't get missed. So when you look in your summary, you can scan down that column and just make sure, oh, here are the messages where they sent me something back that I need to do something with. It lists all the staff in the conversation. And then over here on the right, you have different actions that can be done. So if I wanted to reply to this or read it, I would use this top link here, the read and reply. And then going in, you'll notice I have a few more options now. So I see my message. This is the one that I sent. And if they had replied, that would be up here at the top along with it. You'll see this grid always up here too. And then I can see what file I did send right here. I did send my text document. And I have some options to do some things with this message now. And the cool one I think is the add case note. So let me show you what that looks like. When I want to add a case note then for this conversation and say there were multiple messages going back and forth, I use the button for add case note for conversation. And down here in the panel, it says add case note, and it automatically puts all that text into this box. I can also change any of it that I want to. So if I don't need some of these things, you know, there's a lot of back and forth, and maybe it's the final conclusion that you want to case note on. You can change any of this. You can, you know, delete. You can also add your own. Anything that you need to add. There's a spell check, which is always handy because hopefully you guys can see that spell check. I don't know if that window pops up to display for you or not, but there is a spell check. And I don't know about you, but I always need that. And then all I have to do is click Save Case Note, and I'm going to have that in my set of case notes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I could also cancel out of that if I wanted to. The other things you can do here are send a tickler. So say that I read this message and I go, oh, I need Derek to read this because he's involved with this too, and I want him to know what's going on. So I don't know if he has a username in here specifically, but I'll say Adam. So Adam Holland needs to know this information, and the tickler then says, review the message conversation. How is the search going? So it tells you which one, and I can pick which program that's associated with and when I want my other staff person to review this. So it's going to say today's date, and I can save that. And now Adam Holland has a tickler that says, please go review that message. So it's a way to communicate internally about those messages as well. The last button here, besides the back to message summary, is the close conversation. And that's used when you're done with that subject and you don't want that participant to continue to reply. So maybe the job search conversation is all done and you found out how the job search is going and you don't want them to reply back to that. I don't want Ben, my participant, to reply back to that any longer, because then it'll be under the wrong subject and it might get confusing. You know, the thread will sort of be off, and I can close that if that's the case. So a closed conversation does not mean it's gone from your participants list. It just means that they're not able to reply to that one any longer. If they wanted to message you, they could start a new message, but you could also send it one under a different subject as well. When we go back to the message summary, you can also close the conversations from here, which is also kind of handy. So if you've got, some conversations going on and they're all open and you're thinking, oh, this is going to be confusing for my participant to know what's going on. Maybe you had something to do with applications or eligibility and you're far past that point in time. Now you've moved on and you're working on a plan or something. You don't want them to be replying to the eligibility conversation. You can just close it and then they will not be able to reply to that.
Heidi?
Yes.
Pamela's got a question here. Will your tickler that says, go read this message, be sent to the financial or child care worker as a notification email? And I don't believe that's the case, but I just wanted that out there.
Yes, I don't believe that is the case.
Okay.
I feel like it's been suggested that might be something in the future.
Yeah, I'm not aware of functionality we have in which a tickler generates an email.
Yep. Yep. It is something, though, I think that's been brought up in the past. I think as a future enhancement, that would probably be a good idea.
Yeah, so we can certainly make a note of that.
Yep. We'll definitely have to talk about how we want that to go as well, though. Any other questions so far?
It looks like Courtney's perhaps writing a question.
Yep.
I'm just going to unmute myself, actually.
Sure.
Will there be a way for certain staff to monitor ticklers and messages associated with this? Like in case the staff who's getting those is out of the office unexpectedly for a while, or just to make sure staff are in fact responding and paying attention to those? Okay.
So there are a couple ways, and one would be from the search. So if you wanted to go in and search on anybody's messages, you could go in here. So if you knew that a particular staff was on vacation and you wanted to know if there were any messages that came through while they were gone, you would just go pick them from your list here. So let's see, let's pick on Jerry Holland. Say Jerry's out and I want to see what messages. I would be able to look this way. And there are also some reports that we've designed to cover the messages as well. And I'm going to show you those in a little while.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. What other questions do you guys have?
I don't see any more in the chat.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to switch over. No, I guess I don't need to. I was going to say I'm going to switch over to staging again, but I think I'm okay. I think I'm going to get knocked out of there because it doesn't like me to have two open at the same time. You guys know that about production. We run into the same problem with our environments. It's if they're in the same browser, it doesn't like that. So
looks like Martha has her hand up.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just a quick question. When sending message and receiving it back, is a lot of the participants or clients that we work, they don't speak English, so they'll be sending, messages in Spanish. Mm-hmm. And so will there be a way to translate that, or if I want to add that to my case notes, I'll just have to translate it myself?
Yeah, you will have to just translate it yourself.
Okay.
What I can tell you is we are working on a way to display the app in Spanish right now. We have several other languages that we will do in the in the future, but the Spanish one is being done right now. I don't think it will be done for the soft launch, but it will be done relatively soon. And then there will be an option for them to actually see the app in Spanish. Right now it's only in English. But that doesn't help with the message that they are writing. So if they write you a message in Spanish, you're still going to have to translate that and put it into English in the case note, or something somewhere like that. So hopefully
Okay.
that answered that question.
Yes. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, let's see. I wanted to go back to the Connect Message search page for a moment and just make sure that you guys don't have any questions about this one. Now that you've sort of seen how it works, you'll have the Connect Message search with that link on your dashboard. This is where you will come initially, and it's going to show you any messages. It's going to show you which ones are read by some or read by all, which ones are unread that you need to do something with. And then you can go straight into that person's record if you need to, or you can use the read and reply link. Now, if you noticed, let me go back to that for one more minute here. There's also a remove me. So say that you were added to this conversation and you're like, no, this doesn't have anything to do with me. I want to remove myself so that I don't get more messages about this, because this is not my message any longer. I can remove myself from that string. Doesn't delete anything, just takes your name off of the message so that the reply all, when it's going through, doesn't include you any longer. Hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of like when you get those reply all emails and you just want to get off of there. This allows you to be able to do that. All right, now what I'd like to do, if there are no other questions about those, that's the main functionality. Let's go back to the record really quick. You've got your mobile user ad, set that mobile user up. The first step, of course, would be to get them enrolled in a program, because that is the requirement. They can't be set up without having a record in Workforce One and having a current enrollment. Then we've got the Connect messages. And you've got your search from the top for the Connect messages as well. And then there's a couple other things in the app, and I'm going to show you in Workforce One how to set those up. We've got resources and we've got the contact page, but I do want to show you what the mobile app looks like first. So I'm going to go to my phone. Make sure you're jumping in with questions if you have them. I'm already logged in on my phone to our Teams meeting, and so I'm going to be able to share with you here in a second. And yep, so you're seeing that.
Yes.
Awesome. It's a little delay for me, so I apologize. Then here's my phone, and I've got the Workforce One Connect app. It's toward the bottom. It's in the second column over. It's got the white letters with the blue and black, some stripes on there too. So I'm going to select that. And now it would be assumed that you had already downloaded this from your app store. I've got a user already set up in here for myself, and I'm just going to log in then. You notice probably that it was the staging environment. This is not production yet. This is just a little waiting page where it is authenticating me and saying, yes, do you have the ability to log into this app or not? And then here it is. So the categories of information that we have are listed down there at the bottom. We got messages, resources, contact, and then settings. So this is what it's going to look like from the phone for your participant. I've got the job log message at the top that I sent as Heidi to my participant. And then I've got some others here as well. If the participant wants to send a new message, excuse me, I'm wearing out my voice already. The pencil at the top is where they start. So it says select a subject to view or send reply or select a new message, the new message icon to start a new conversation. So I'm going to select that pencil up at the very top. And this is a brand new message that I'm going to send to my counselor. So I am the participant. I'm going to go to the icon with the contacts. And I can see here that I have 3 staff that are serving me right now. They are David Ossenmacher, Heidi Wilson, and Joanne Rodio. It even gives me the program that they are connected with and the agency. So ACP with Anoka County. So I'm going to say I want this message to go to Heidi and Joanne because I know that my Anoka County staff are the ones I want it to go to. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. So I'm going to say, what's next?
Hey, Heidi.
Yeah.
So Martha has a question asking, can we download the app and use it as staff? And
Yes.
So
You will be able to. So
you can't use it to actually communicate with a client.
Correct. So I was going to say, there's a lot to say for me to say about that. So
Yeah.
let me back up for a couple steps. So the first thing is only participants will use the app. So you're not using the app yourself to communicate. You are only logging into Workforce One. If you, however, need a fake version of it to demonstrate or teach your staff or your clients, even they're having trouble and you want to pull it up and show it to them, we will have a way to have you download from the App Store and still be connected to a fake training environment. But you have to have a record and enrollment in Workforce One in order to have the real thing. And so you as a staff person would not have that. And we are not able to connect it then to production. So you would be able to connect it though to like the sandbox that we are currently in, and playing and training in. There is going to be a way that you can do that. It's almost ready to go. I think that by next week you will be able to do that. Maybe that's too steep of a promise, but it's getting close. All right, so let me finish my message here. What do I do next? I'm going to send my counselor that message. Now, while we're at it, it seems silly, but I'm going to show you how to send documents, even though I wouldn't maybe really send one with this type of message. The documents and attachments are added with the plus sign icon. So on the right, there's a plus, and I'm going to touch that. And then I can attach a file. So I've got a file on my phone. I've got here it's a pretty big one for the Small Business Association. And then I can also select an image from my phone. So I'm going to pick one here of my puppy. You guys will get to see a little picture of her. And I also can take a picture. And so let's see, I'm going to take a picture. Here I am at my messy desk, and I love to take a picture of my coffee cup. It's gigantic. And I don't share my coffee with anyone, so I don't give a sip. I can decide to retake this one, or I can use this photo. I'm going to use it just so you can see. And then when I go back to my message now, you see all 3 types that are on there. We also allow different types of attachments too. So you'll notice one is a JPEG and the other is a JPG. I think that's a JPEG also. We have other types that can be uploaded, so it's not just limited to these. So I added a document, I added something from my photo gallery, and I also just took a picture on the fly and sent it, and I can verify that it's a good photo also. I know we heard at the JADS that sometimes with the MFIP Connect app, they would get a photo, but it was such bad quality that they couldn't see it. And so then they would have to say, can you take that picture again? And there's a lot of time wasted with all that, back and forth. So this way you can actually see right as the participant can see right as they take the photo if it's a good one and they want to actually use it. Now I can send this. I have the up arrow to send, and I have one at the top and I have one at the bottom in case my message is long and I don't want to scroll. And now you'll notice there's going to be some messages up at the top, and it's telling me that the upload has started and then it succeeded. And I've got 3 of them on there. So I'm going to see another one start, and then that one succeeded. It goes pretty fast, even with our fake environment here. So that's all done, and that message was sent. And any replies I get are going to come through, and I will see those here as well. Any questions on the messages? So hopefully you're getting an idea of, if you've never seen this before, what the participant will see, how it will work for them on this side.
Courtney has a question.
Sure.
So they can see the images. For our folks who are blind, does it notify them if it's blurry or suggest a new picture?
At this time, it does not. I think there is some third-party software, though, we've discussed possibly adding to it so that it could be better known what that picture looks like. And I think there is also some third-party software that helps them, like if to center a document in the middle of the frame and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be some things that we could recommend. But yeah, it doesn't do any sort of judging, or it doesn't do any evaluation of the quality of the picture or notification. It's up to you. So yeah, I understand why that could be tough.
Yeah, she said yes, that would be helpful. Thanks.
Yep. So by the way, we've spent a lot of time making sure that this app is accessible. We have our full-time accessibility coordinator, Joanne Radio, who's done tons of testing. We've had our folks at SSB participate in our UAT testing, and Dave Andrews has been testing along the way, along with another small group from the very beginning. So we are hopeful that it's going to work fine, and we know that we will be able to fix anything that doesn't. I would guess, because people use things differently, that somebody will find something that needs help. But we feel really confident that it will be good on day one, because we have spent a lot of time making sure that it's accessible. We know how important that is. All right, any other questions on the messages? Let's see, I didn't show you how to reply, how they will reply. I guess I can show you one of those quickly here too. So like this message that's got the dot next to it, it says, send in your job log. That one's from my counselor. I'm pretending I'm the participant now. And if I want to reply to this, it says, send in your job log on Friday. I can reply to that with the up and over arrow and say, okay, I'll do that. And then when I'm done, I just use the up arrow to send. You also have some other icons here with information, which is the I. This tells me the recipients, who it's going to and when this conversation was started. I've also got the down arrows, which if there was a document attached to this, then they could download it and save it on their phone. So if they had something important that they wanted to save, a flyer or some other type of document, they could do that too. So that's the sending of a new message and then replying. If there's no questions on that, I want to keep going and talk to you about a couple other things. Let's go to the next icon over at the bottom, which is resources. Now we haven't looked at this yet, but we will. We're going in the reverse order on this one. The way resources are set up is inside Workforce One, the web application, and you as a counselor or as your agency are able to put in resources for your people. And we have a way that they can show up for the appropriate part of the state. We surely didn't want a food bank showing up in someone's resources where they couldn't even get to it, like one in Brainerd when they live in St. Paul. So we have the areas grouped so you can create your resources and have them show up in the appropriate areas. And then we have categories, and we have people already adding these for soft launch so that they'll show up on day one, and they can be added at any time. So right now in our pretend environment, we just have childcare and food categories. And if I select like food, I see that there's one here for the Salvation Army food shelf. And if I go one step farther, I can see then the address. It says a little bit of information underneath as well, appointment required. There's a description box that you can add information to, and that's where that's going to display. And then if I go back to the childcare, there's a little bit more here I can show. This one we made up, Sherry's Childcare. And it's got the address, the phone number, and an email. And, and the icons on the right will actually let you do those things that it's next to, meaning if you want to know where that address is located, it will take you to a map. If you want to make a phone call, the phone icon will actually get your phone into that mode and make the phone call, as well as the email will take you to the email that is included on your phone and send an email then to that staff, not staff person. Sorry, I said that because that's Sherry, but we would be talking about the resource here. So you would be emailing the resource, calling the resource, or able to see where that resource was located. Any questions on resources? I'm sure you're wondering how you add those, and that's what we're going to talk about next. But I do want to go back through the phone here until we have this part done before we do that.
No questions on the chat.
All righty. Very good. So let's move on to the contact section. There are a couple categories of contact. In this one, I only have employment because this person does not have the financial worker and childcare worker group. But if that was the case, you would also see that underneath employment. And then using the arrow to get to the group, I would see the names, the phone numbers, and the emails for the staff that are serving me. So maybe I can't remember, like, what's Susie's last name? I can't even remember what it is. I can come here and see it and go, oh, there it is. And there's her phone number and her email, so I can easily get in touch with any of the staff that are serving me as a participant. Then lastly, we have the settings. There's not a lot you can do here. You can sign out if you want. If you're a person who likes to sign out of all of your apps, this is where that happens. We do also have some different themes, and I want to show these because they are important, and some folks have difficulties with certain colors or contrast, and this will help address any of those issues. The light theme has a kind of our Workforce One colors with that teal and a royal blue. The dark theme is kind of the opposite, with the dark blue being the main background and then the text being light. I think it's actually white. And then the high contrast is the one I was using, where it's mostly shades of white and gray with a lot of contrast in the text being black. And then the high contrast dark theme is the opposite, where if you have trouble with the bright lights on your eyes, you can do the opposite with the dark color in the background and then the less of the white. I'm going to stick with my high contrast light theme. And then just go back to messages for a moment and see if you guys have any questions. That's really the app. On the participant side, this is what they'll see, and this is what they'll be able to do with it. A couple of nice things about this is that all of your messages now are going to be contained. So they're not lost in that person's email. They're not lost in that person's phone, with all the other messages. They're not mingled all together anywhere. Everything that has to do with their case is right here in the messages. And I think that's a really big benefit. Sometimes we've been asked, how will this be better than an email? Well, I think that's one of the ways that it's better. I think also that on your end, as staff, you'll be able to easily case note this information, and it will be saved in Workforce One so that you don't have to worry that, oh, now your phone, the messages you had in your phone got all deleted. I don't know about you. I had mine reset a couple months ago and I lost everything that was in it. So, that history would be gone. That's not going to happen with this. It's all saved outside of the phone. So that's some protection that you have in that regard. So I think it will be super handy. And like I mentioned at the beginning of class, I have very high hopes for the future of this. I see a lot of potential and new things that we can do with it. We've already had tons of suggestions, and we welcome them always. So anything that you guys run across or think of, wow, it would be really awesome if it would do this or that, just let us know. We can't always do it right away, but certainly we keep track of everything we get from you and welcome those ideas. It's meant to be something that will help you, and we certainly want it to continue to evolve. So any questions about the mobile app? All right, let's see. I'm going to go back out of here then. It's kind of funny to be able to look into someone's phone, isn't it?
Yeah, the chat is still quiet.
Okay. You guys are a good group. Hopefully you haven't all just dropped off and are not able to hear me any longer.
They're
right.
still connected. I don't know if they're paying attention. But.
All right. So let's see. We will move along then. There's a feature that I would like to show you that is under My Tasks, and it is Mass Message. This is very similar to the other mass ideas that we have, like Mass Case Note or some of those other things. But Mass Message is going to allow you to send a message to multiple people at a time. So say that I like to use the job fair idea, because I know that, if I was inviting my whole caseload or reminding them all about a job fair that was happening on Saturday, it would be really nice not to have to send them each an individual message. I'd be able to message them all at once. So I come here in under My Tasks, and I choose.
We can't see your screen right now.
Oh, okay. I thought it looked like I was able to. So let me do it over. Thanks for letting me know.
That's why I'm here.
It's even highlighted. I wonder why.
Or at least I can't. Maybe. Nope, there we go.
All right, I did it over again. Maybe it just got hung up while I was switching between my phone and the computer again. So, all right. So under My Tasks is where you would go. And there's a new link here called Mass Message. When I choose that, I come to this Mass Message ad page, and I can do a search first. So think about, how do you want to find those people that you want to send the message to? You have to search for them first. And I'm going to go with my MFIT program. And I can also choose by activity. If you wanted to find all the people who were in a similar activity, I could do that. So maybe I wanted to find all the participants who were doing on the job training, something like that. I don't have very many examples in here, so I'm not going to do that, but it would be helpful if I needed to do that. It exists right there. On my search then, I get 3 results. I can use the button to select all of them, and then I can send them all the same exact message. So let's say this is about an appointment, and it's for the job fair. And it's coming up tomorrow. And I'm going to say, please come to the job fair tomorrow as a reminder. And then that's it. I can add a file if I want to. So maybe I have a little flyer with more information, or I have some file that I want to add in addition. I can do that too and send it to all of them. But I'm going to send this message to this whole group. Now you can see when it's only 3, it doesn't seem like such a big deal. But if I had, 20 or 30 people on my caseload and I wanted to send them all at once, I would just send this message. And now it says 3 messages sent, and that exact same one went to each of those participants. And it's going to show in each of their lists when I go into their record. And it would also show up here under the Connect Message search too. So here's those appointments for the job fair. I think that's a super handy feature We also have mass case note that you can do from there, and I think that one is really handy as well when you need to write a case note about each of your participants. All right, any questions about the mass message? All right, let's look at the resources then. So under Manage Program, you have a link called Connect Resources. And you probably want to do a little search here. We're going to have a lot of them in here eventually. And you would be able to search by name or by category, the resource area, meaning which part of the state are you looking for, and then which agencies are associated. So if you were wanting to see your own agency and which ones were going to show up for you, you could sort and search that way. Also by status, if there were any that were pending. Maybe you need to go in and approve some and you're looking for all the pending ones. You can sort and search by that resource status as well. So here we have 2 resources that have been put in. The top one is active and the second one is pending. They do start off in pending status, and then a person who has a higher level privilege, a staff person, does do a review of that particular resource and then go ahead and activate it. What we want to do is make sure nothing gets in there goofy or bad, and have some review of that before it actually is live, because as soon as you make that active, it will show up in the app. So let's take a look at how you would add one first. The button down here, and as always with Workforce One, you do have to do a search before you can see that add button. We want you to add your agency to ones that exist if it's already there, instead of adding duplicates or multiples. But I'm going to say, no, I don't see one here. I'm going to do an add. And then I would name my resource. Now this is Sandbox, so I want to name it all something fake, but let's see. Well, close to me is I'm going to just use a real one, is the Prism Food Shelf in Golden Valley. And so my resource category would be food. And then it's in Hennepin County. Golden Valley is in Hennepin County, so I would choose that. And then the status is going to be pending. Now I'm adding this. I have a little bit higher privilege level, so I could choose which one I wanted, but I'm going to show you the pending process. And then I would pick an approver. So it would be somebody from your area, from your agency probably, that's going to be able to approve it. Yes.
Just an FYI, so we can't see the drop-down values.
Okay.
So if you want us to know kind of what values are in a drop-down, just maybe point that out.
Yep. So let me go back then. So under the resource category, there is food, but I can read through these really quickly. There is childcare, clothing, disability services, employment, family care, financial, food, forms, health, housing, interpreter, legal, other, recreation and enrichment forms, safety, seasonal, technology, training, transportation, utilities, waiver or kinship programs, and youth. Now, this is the list that we collected from the JADs that we had. So I think that it's pretty thorough, but if there is something that doesn't fit under any of those and you have a lot of them and you don't want to keep using other, let us know. There's probably a way we can, get that approved and add another category. I could use the select deselect also.
Yeah, I was just going to say, can you select
that? Does that work?
Yes, it does.
Okay, good. I'll do that then. So here are the choices, and the select deselect link allows you to choose 2 or more of something. So where you can only choose one thing from a drop down, that link gives you the check boxes, and then I can choose more than one. So
Lori has asked whether veteran could be added as a resource category.
Yeah, I don't know why not. So
I'll add that to the list here.
Yeah, thank you, Derek. So let's go to the resource area. These are the resource areas.
One other thing, Sylvia has asked whether help with filing taxes could be added. I don't know if there's an existing resource category that would fall under, but We can
Yeah, I don't
certainly
know
look at
either.
adding that as
So,
well.
yep, thank you. Add that to our notes. That's a good suggestion also. Any others?
No, those are the only two.
Okay, awesome. Let's go then to the resource area. I wanted to show you what these look like as well, since you didn't get to see them last time I did the drop down. So I picked Hennepin Carver counties under Area 9. You would pick these, and this is what's going to help narrow down the resource area so that the participant sees the correct things in their resources and doesn't see everything that's entered in Workforce One altogether. So Hennepin Carver is my resource area. Pending is my status. And then I choose an approver. Now I shouldn't have chosen myself probably. I'll choose Mary Baskerville. She's going to approve it for me. I would put in the address. I would add the email. These are the things that will show. They're optional, but you do want them to show in the app because it's going to be more helpful for your participant if there's an email and a phone number for that resource. If there isn't, that's perfectly understandable. Sometimes it's a website and there's no way to actually contact them. You just want them to be able to go there and read something. So we fully understand that. But if there is a way to add it, we encourage you to do so. And then a description as well. You can add the latitude and longitude for accurate mapping. And this would be if you have an address here. I don't think it's going to give me. Yep, I got a state of Minnesota. If you put an address in, it's going to actually go to that address, and then you're going to be able to validate that, as well as the URL. So if I put in the URL for Prism Food Shelf, I could use this link, and it would open up a new tab, and I would be able to see that I had put the correct one in, and that the link was actually going to take me to that website. Make sure that you are using the spell check whenever you can. Proper grammar, typos, things like that. We're going to be looking for those. And then, oh, I do have to have at least one thing in here. I'm going to make up an address. Okay, so I've got my Prism Food Shelf there. Now, for example, say there's another agency and they're in Hennepin Carver County and they're in my area and they want to display that Golden Valley Prism Food Shelf for their agency as well. They do a search and they say Prism Food Shelf, it comes up here. All they would have to do then is go into the edit, and down here at the bottom, they would be able to add their agency. Since my access is only the training agency right now, I can't do that. Let's see. Let me switch it and see if I can show it to you, because it is kind of nice and important that we do it that way. So here's the Prism Food Shelf. And if I go to edit, down here, then I can add a new agency. So the training agency is the current one. And I can choose one from here. Let's say Anoka Job Training Center, and add it. And now in my grid, I have this Prism resource that's going to be available to anyone participating in programs under the training agency or the Anoka County Job Training Center. So that one I didn't even have to add from scratch. I can just add my agency to it. So this can be done for statewide resources like those websites that might be helpful. This can be done for anything that is in multiple areas of the state so that we don't have to have a duplicate in there. And as soon as these are activated, like I mentioned earlier, then you are able to see them in the app. The participant would see it right away. All right, any questions about adding resources? Kind of a quiet group, you guys.
The chat looks good.
Okay. All right, a couple more things to talk about. We've got reports. I'm not going to go through all reports, of course. We're just focusing on the Connect ones right now. So what I want to do is just reduce my list a little bit. Under the report type, I'm going to pick participant. And there are several ones that were existing before, but this is where all of the Connect reports are. We've got this grouping of them. I am going to run through them quickly. I'm going to run them. I do have results I can show you, and I want to just see what you think of them and let you know that they exist so that if you have this question, you can go in here and run a report. We've got the Connect messages unread detail. We're pretty descriptive in our titles. And so you can imagine this is going to give you a list of all the unread messages. And it says right here too, this report will display messages that have not been read by staff. So I'm going to select that one. You know what? And I'm going to switch back to my training agency because it'll just be a little faster, I think. And I don't have much for records out there outside of the training. So let me just go back. Search by participant type reports, and then Connect messages, unread detail. I click the next button, and I have some choices here I can make. I can sort or search by and run this report by location if I want to. So I could narrow it down to either Minneapolis or St. Paul. I'm going to leave that as both though. If you have a lot of locations and you want to narrow in on one, I know like VRS or SSB has a lot of statewide locations. Vets would too, I'm sure. You would be able to then pick that one. It'll show up here in the dropdown. I could also do this report just by all staff or a single staff. So I could run it just for myself or for another staff if I wanted to. I can also do it by program. And let's see, I think I can do this for adult and I will get some results. So let me run it. And I am actually going to assume that you're familiar with how our reports work and that you can export them. The same thing goes for this. And then I want to spend a minute or two, though, looking at the columns so that you can see the data that's going to display here. So you've got the person's name and record ID. You've got the conversation category. So remember how I put in job search, or if it's initiated by the person, it's going to say client initiated because they don't choose a category. You've also got the subject, the conversation date and time when it started, the number of messages unread by staff. So right here, there's just one of each. The number of files unseen by staff. So it's going to keep track of whether they've been opened or not. The number of messages received from the person, the number of files received from the person, the number of messages that were unread by the person, meaning the participant. So if your staff have been sending messages and they're not logging in to get them, this is gonna be building here, right? You'll be able to see that. And then the person last read, date and time. So meaning the participant, the last time that they read that. And then the staff, the last time they read this message. Who is associated with this conversation? All the staff that are included. All the agencies associated with it. So remember, I added a bunch and it reminded me that I was adding folks that were outside of my agency. That's because I have a higher level of privilege and I was able to do that. You may not be even able to. This one was only the training agency. And then it also shows the programs associated. So you can see where it says adult or custom program, homeless veterans, those are included there too. And then as always, you have the information at the bottom about how this report was actually run. These are also sortable columns. And if you really have a lot of information here, I suggest that you export it to the CSV, which is the Excel spreadsheet. And then you're able to do a lot of analysis and slicing and dicing of your data. So that's Connect Messages Unread Detail. I'm going back to the report search list, and I've got Connect User Current Detail. Same idea here. You can choose, I'm going to choose Adult, run my report. Now I've got information about the user, the mobile user. So I've got that mobile user name, the email that they're using, the record ID, the person's name, whether they're active or maybe they've opted out. It's going to say that here too. Then the data that was, and the time that it was entered. So this is really when it was created. The status of the consent. So the first time they log in, they're going to first change their password. They're going to have that temporary one from the email. Then they're going to change their password. They're going to have 3 secret question and answers that they have to answer. And then they're going to have a consent that they have to agree to. So you're going to know that they logged in that initial time if you see that they have agreed to that. If they don't agree, then they can't use it. So if it's blank, it just means they haven't logged in yet. The last login date and time, you can see how often or when was the last time they actually logged in. When they changed their password, the number of messages received from the person in the last 30 days, the number of messages sent to that person in the last 30 days, and then the same thing with files, the agencies, the programs, and the staff. Those are important again at the end there. I'm just going to keep going unless you guys tell me that you have a question. So jump in if you need me to stop. One thing we were interested in is the demographics of who was going to use this. So we've got the Connect User Demographic Summary report. This is going to tell you those attributes and then the value of them, how many people are in that category. So the first grouping is age. And then we've got country of origin, disability status. You'll notice this is the same as our demographics report, I believe. And then you can see how many are using the app based on those things. So what's the age group? Right now, this is all fake data, right? So this doesn't really, I don't even look to see how old the person is when I choose a fake one or create one. But you'll be able to see a trend here, I would assume, of different ages and who is opting in with the mobile app. Let's go to the next page so we can see what else is here. We have ethnicity, gender, immigrant or refugee, language, race, student status, and veteran status. So that will be an interesting way to see who is adopting and opting in. We also have the Connect User Usage Summary. And let's see here. I'm just going to do it from the beginning of the year. So here we have active users, meaning mobile users. At the time of the report run, there were 7. Inactive, none so far. Users added within that time frame, so how many new ones are there versus how many were just continuing to use it. Ones that had opted out. I think my team is really interested in that. If we see some people starting and then opting out, that will be something we want to look at and find out why, if there's something we can do to make it better. This is the number of conversations started, and I'm not going to read through all of these, but you can see the information that's on here. It's how the user is using it, I guess. Like I said, we usually have a pretty descriptive title for it. And then the last one is the user view detail. And this is for a specific record ID. So let's see. I think I left myself a note here about which one I was going to use. Nope, I don't have one. Let me go here to my recent work and grab this one. So just remember that that one report is for only a single record, and so you are going to have to enter. I thought I wrote that down, but sorry about that. So here is what the Connect user is actually going to be able to see. So because the staff don't have the ability to log into the app and see what their participants see, we put together this report so that you would be able to do a verification here. If someone's saying, well, why does John Aiken show up in my contacts? I don't know who that even is. And you're like, what? I don't know who it is either. Let me see what you're seeing. This is where you're going to go. You're going to come here, run this, and you're going to go, oh, this is a new program, and they are enrolled in it. And so that's what's going on there. That's the staff person for that. This is the agencies that are used for the contacts and the resources. And then here are the resources that are going to be displayed in Connect for them. And this is going to get really long. There's only this one right here now for their particular area, that resource area that I talked about, but there will be a lot. So this report will be really long. It will show everything that mobile user will see in the app. So those are the reports. Any questions about those before we move on? You guys doing okay so far?
It's going good, Heidi. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Pamela.
Yeah, I couldn't get to my unmute quick enough. Sorry for that delay.
Yeah, oh, I understand that. We've all been there. All right, then the next subject, I have two things left here. One is to talk about how we will support this, meaning who will the participant talk to when they have a problem, who will you talk to, that type of thing. And then we can move into what you might need to do or need to know for your own training. So this document talks about the Connect customer and how the support pyramid works. This is something that we've presented quite a few times now to different groups, and I put it together in a document just to be able to show you. This is the support pyramid that we will follow. We still have a few parts here to, I think, get really moving on, but this is what we intend to do. At the very bottom of the pyramid, and that's number 1, the customer will contact their case manager. So the case manager or the employment specialist, the ES worker, is the one who will set them up. And that's the person that we expect them to go to first if they have a question. Now, do we expect them to know everything and be able to solve everything for them? No, certainly not. But we want them to be their point of contact. They are the ones serving that customer, and that's the person they should go to when they have a question. So if they can't answer it, and we will have other supporting materials, to help, then they would go to someone in their agency who is considered a super user. You probably have in your agency that techie person that you go to when your computer doesn't work, or their Workforce One expert that you could turn to say, can you help with this? That's who we're talking about. Somebody who at your agency would be able to troubleshoot some basic problems if they're having trouble downloading the app or getting logged in or something like that. We also are looking for volunteers to be the champions across agencies. That would be the next line of help. And those are super users that we will train, and they are champions who will help assist in any questions that the case manager or the super user at their agency cannot answer. So if there's something they're like, oh, neither of us know what to do with this, who can we contact? There will be a place, it'll be either a document or someplace in Workforce One where you can look up those champions, where you can send them a question and say, this is what we're running into. Have you had this happen yourself, or know what to do about this? And they will be able to support across different agencies. Agencies mean to me in Workforce One, all the counties, the providers, the nonprofits, the tribes, all of them, all those entities are considered agencies in Workforce One. So we mean across those groups. And then if nobody is able to figure out the problem from there, then contacting my team would be that top step. And that would most likely mean it's a bug, and we would need to have that worked on by a developer to get fixed. We would expect that if no one was able to figure it out at that point, that it was something that was really wrong with the app, and that we have some work to do there to get that fixed. So this is our customer support pyramid. So you know who to turn to, and there will be more information to come about this. We also have some tips here for troubleshooting. I know the list is very short right now. We do intend to fill this in and keep this document available in Workforce One. It'll be under the how-to guides, the user how-to guides, and then we'll continue to add tips and troubleshooting to this list as we go, so that we can learn from each other. And when someone experiences something that gets resolved, we can add it here and then have a place, a library of things for troubleshooting that you can turn to if you're having trouble with that participant getting up and running on the app. So a couple things first here is to verify that the user is actually active. So you go to that mobile user page and make sure that they're active. You would want to verify the status of the case and the case assignment, because if the participant has exited and there are no longer case assignments, meaning there are no staff assigned to that case, then nothing will show up in the app. There will be no way for them to send a message. We don't want them to send a message to a black hole where nobody will actually get it. You would want to verify what version of the app is being used. Sometimes an older version has something going on with it, and we would want to make sure that they were on the very newest version of the app. And then also what type of device that person is using. Phones are going to work. Tablets are going to work. We had someone trying to use, I think it was a Kindle, for our UAT testing, and it does not work on a Kindle. So there are some devices that it's not going to work on, but both types of phones, Android and iOS, and then those tablet type devices are most likely going to work, but we would want to know what device it was to help with troubleshooting. So those are the things I have here so far, and just know that this document is a living document that will continue to get updated. I also would like to show you where it's going to be kept once we go into production. So under the resources, I'll wait a second to make sure you can see. When you're logged into production, this is not going to be the case in our sandbox here, but resources and then user how-to guides. We have a short list here. It's old, they're older, but in our production site, these are new and updated as needed, and you'll find it under here as well, so that we can keep updating it and keep it available to you for troubleshooting. Any questions on that piece?
Nothing on the chat.
All right. I have to look every now and then. So the last thing then is the setting up and doing the training for yourselves. So I've included in this email and the meeting notice, both the trainer agenda and the student agenda. So you can give your students their own agenda and you can use the trainer one. That's yours. You can, edit that as you will, add to it, subtract from it. Today, I actually printed mine out so I could write a few things on there, some notes for myself, and I think I would like to add them to it permanently. Since this is my first run through it, there were some things that I just wrote on it to make sure I could remember my examples and some things that I wanted to highlight. You've also got attachments on that meeting notice for different user guides. We didn't go through those, but those are intended to be in place of this training so that you can read through a guide. And, we did the hands-on version today. This is being recorded, and you will be able to take this recording and just play it or share it with others if you want to approach your training that way. So there are several ways that you're going to be able to do this. So I think kind of the two approaches are really, do you want to do the hands-on training like I'm doing with you right now, where you would have your staff log into Workforce One and actually do the adding on those pages? Or do you want to have them watch this broadcast and work on it on their own, or watch this broadcast and do it as a group. The two latter options definitely take a lot less setup. Having each of your staff log in will take more setup. You'll have to create accounts. Some of my staff could help a little bit with that, but I don't think if everybody wants to do that we would have the bandwidth to get everyone set up. So I've provided a user guide for setting up the accounts in the sandbox that you can follow and use to do that. I would have to get you set up with a security administrator profile in order to do that. So you need to let me know if that's what you want to do. Then setting up the records would be included in that as well. Making sure that you have someone assigned to each of those staff so that they have a customer, a person that they can go to and create that mobile user. We also have the information for downloading the mobile app and getting that set up. And then that would be something that you could do as well if you wanted to demonstrate. And I use Teams. I've logged into Teams on my computer, and I've also logged in with Teams from my phone so that I can share with you what that app looks like from my phone as well. So there's a lot of logistics there, and I'm certainly here to help you if you want to do the training in that way. I have included the materials that you need, and but I would assume you will have some questions. Can I get a sense of what you guys are, what direction you think you're going to go at this point? If you would either unmute and talk with me about it, or send something in the chat.
This is Courtney.
Hi, Courtney.
I'm not positive. We have 3 other people who are taking the training at different times.
Yep.
I feel like it's just going to be a discussion with them. We do have a time already set up to do the training, and it's coming up soon. So I think it just kind of depends on how they're feeling about it as well.
Okay. Fair enough. That makes sense that you guys would meet after everybody's done and figure out what you want to do. I guess the reason I'm asking is so I know how much farther to go with setting things up, if you want more detail or not. And certainly this doesn't have to be decided right now. I'm just curious more than anything.
I would agree with Courtney. I mean, I'll meet with some of the others throughout the agency and partners to figure out how it'll be presented. But personally, I'm a hands-on learner. So I want to, my preference would be to do this in some sort of a group setting to allow people the opportunity to play and ask questions as they're going through it.
Yep. I'm in agreement with you, and that's why we are doing it this way. I know though, logistically, it could be better or easier to use the recording as well. So that's why we offer both options.
Lori says I agree with that.
Yep. All right. I think then we will leave it with you should let me know how you guys want to move forward, and if you need my help with anything. The only piece that you would need me to do at this point is to get you set up with a security administrator profile so that you could set your own accounts up. So, Andrea, can I assume that you would want that for sure? It would seem like that's the direction you're going. Okay.
Yes, it is. And I'll double check with Heather Gleason, but
okay.
That's how
so I can set that one up for you right away.
Thank you.
And then if you run into questions, you can let me know. And then Courtney, I would say, let me know if you want that. Somebody from your group maybe even already has it in the sandbox.
Yeah, that sounds good. We will definitely let you know after they've completed the training.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks.
And I think, Lori, I know you are a security administrator. So if, you know, that you're understanding what I'm talking about when I'm saying you would need to set those up. So I would just need to make sure you have that access in the sandbox so that you could do it that way if you choose.
Yes, that would be great. And the other two people that are training are administrators also. So the three of us will talk about, how we're going to deal with it.
Okay, sounds good. And then the folks at MSFW, I don't know, I'm sure you want to maybe meet and discuss as well what the best approach would be for you. So you can let me know.
Yes, because we are all attending this training. So yeah, we're just gonna have to talk after this and see what we want to do.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. I don't have anything left on the agenda. So if you guys don't have any other questions, we're ready to wrap up. I'm available to hang on if you have specific questions that you haven't had a chance to ask yet, or if you need to talk with me about something else. Otherwise, we can call it done and give you back a little bit of time here too.
Thank you, Heidi. This was really good. A lot of good information.
Good. Thank you, Pamela.
Heidi, this is Courtney.
Yes.
Do you know if there are any set up for WDU as the program? And if I'm just curious if that'll look any different or with our different staff names and all of that.
If there are any users set up or records,
Right.
you mean?
Well, either, because I'm looking at the records on the dashboard in the sandbox right now, and they're all from different programs. I was just curious if.
Yeah, so we would have to go, I would have to switch over. I don't think your access that you're using right now for this training actually has any SSB access on it.
Okay.
Because for training purposes, we need to all be in the same, same group. But yeah, I can look. I'm sure there are some, and I can make sure you have something set up so at least you can see that instead.
Yeah, I just think seeing our own program may
for sure
make a little more sense to our staff.
Yeah, we definitely want you to be using your own program, and VRS will be the same way. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. I wrote a note here to check on that one for you.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
All right, that's all I have. Thanks, everybody. I will hang on for a little bit longer, but you're free to go. Thank you for
everyone.
participating.
Bye.
Heidi, this is Pamela. I did have a quick question that I know I could ask in one of our meetings, but